my phone and I can watch comments.
Yeah, you guys having these like fire shots? I've seen that. Oh my god, it's so hot in there.
Dan sa gafanaw na wagamagat, Sharissa Neault, Makay su Sagaigan, Inanuak Nitus Jean, Maga Winnipeg Nawigan and Nost, Nitatoskan MICEC Outreach Manager Nina. So hi everyone, my name is Sharissa from Fox Lake Cree Nation, but I'm living here in Winnipeg, and I am the Outreach Manager here at MICEC. I am sitting here with two of our staff, Kale and Danielle, as well as Fredrick Spence, who we will be soapstone carving with today, but I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Anin, me first? Or you first?
You first.
Okay, sorry. Anin, Kale Swampy, Dishnakaz, Sagin and Donji. My name's Kale, I work here at the center with the AV collection, audio and visuals. And yeah, miigwech.
Tanse, I'm Danielle Mason. I'm the curator in training here, I guess is the best way to describe it. I work primarily with the art collection here, and I don't know what else to explain. I'm from Peguis.
Amazing.
Grew up in Winnipeg, and I've been working here for the last 2 years. So, thanks.
Anin, good morning. My name is Fredrick Spence. I'm from Peguis First Nation. I'm here to do some soapstone carving with Danielle, and hope you enjoy it.
Awesome. Yeah, so today we brought Fredrick in to Soapstone Carve with Danielle, and this is thanks to the Manitoba Arts Council. So we're really grateful for that. And Kale and I are just here to look pretty. I roped Kale in last minute. Yeah, so I will pass it off to you. You can start with, I guess you guys will be choosing what you're carving today.
Yeah. So I kind of have a bit of a structure by now. I know Kale and Danielle has done a workshop at the tourism conference. I always like to start with a smudge, just to set a good intention. It often, I go over the teachings and stuff like that. We don't necessarily have to today, I'm not sure, but
It's up to you,
yeah.
whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, we'll just smudge. I'll explain like my understanding of it and how I am attached to it. Yeah, and that's how I typically start each workshop. And then Danielle is going to have the very hard task to figure out what she would like to carve. And something that I like is I bring options for the different types of stone. And I like to say that the stone picks you, which you've heard before. And once we pick our stone and what we're gonna carve, I have some examples here, not to pressure you in towards that, but you have creative autonomy and freedom. And then we'll kind of get started. Okay, so I'll start with the, I just want to say that like I didn't grow up in the traditional ways, and I've had some struggles in my adolescence, which isn't an uncommon story, but when I was 26, I was working with a young woman, Brianna McKay from Tataskuak Cree Nation, Split Lake, and she taught me how to smudge. And it was during a time that was very important in my life in terms of like finding my identity and finding my purpose and stuff like that. So I really attached to it. And before that, I was doing meditation, so that spiritual idea really came in. So I'll go over the teaching that Brianna shared with me that I still carry, and stuff that I've incorporated in through my own mental health journey. So the idea is that the smudge, it's believed that the smoke from the sage will cleanse our aura, cleanse the air around us, cleanse things that we might be carrying on our body, and we wash it. We wash ourselves like it's water. And a good visualization that I have is as if it's like water when it's coming up, and that's what it looks like to me. Even when it like enters your hands, and you know, it's the same when you turn on that water and you're washing yourself. And you want to cover your 5 senses. You want to cover your mind and wash your mind to think good things, your heart to feel good things, your eyes to see good things, your mouth to speak but also taste good things, hopefully, and your ears to hear the good things. And one thing that I've brought into that is that self-love aspect that I didn't really give myself a lot of, and still sometimes struggle today. So not only do I wash my mind to think good things, but I want to make sure I'm thinking good things about myself. You know, being gentle and kind and compassionate with myself. I smudge my heart to make sure I love myself for who I am, and the scars that I have, and the person I am today. And even that little person that struggled too. And your mouth to make sure you're saying good things about yourself. Yeah. So that's something that I've incorporated. And even as simple as striking the match for me, I visualize this fire that we have inside of us, and how sometimes it gets low, and especially through COVID, not seeing our loved ones, not doing things that we were normally doing. And we felt that little fire inside of us, right? It got really low. And so this, for me, is stoking that flame. It's making it bigger. And another thing to make that flame bigger is to do things you love, things that bring you joy. And that's the biggest word and emotion that I've really attached to since doing the workshops and doing soapstone carving and my own mental health journey. So I'm gonna ask, actually, something that brings you joy.
My brothers and sisters.
That's a good one.
My relations and music.
Yeah.
My family.
Yeah. Yeah, so like if you looked at a list of things that were good for your mental health: family, social connections, music, art, therapy, spiritual, ceremony. I know my little son brings me joy, Kona. We play Lego, that brings me joy. And I also do improv.
Nice.
That's
Nice,
fun.
that's fun.
Yeah. So I'll strike the match, and I'll start to smudge. And one thing, and I'm not sure if this is, but an elder one time told me, oftentimes when the smudge is going, people almost hold their breath and don't want to speak or say things. And I'm not sure if that is actually protocol, but I like to ease people off that, and like you're able to do things while someone's smudging. You can still interact and do things.
And we just stop doing things.
Yeah. Hold your breath. Yeah, and then you can pass it down. And whether it's 5 seconds or 5 minutes, obviously, like when you're home alone, maybe in the mornings, it's a bit longer, obviously. But that's meditation, that's spiritual, that's a spiritual connection. You're setting an intention. And I love that. I love that, the traditions are very spiritual.
So you can see good things.
Yeah.
Your eyes is.
And I will plug, this is one of my most admired pieces, is this TP smudge bowl. Usually it burns a little bit better, but I didn't put enough, I guess.
It's a beautiful
Okay, I
piece.
can still smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's the back.
now that we've set good intentions, and Danielle is going to be very compassionate with herself. Oh, sorry, I didn't ask. Does anyone have any specific pronouns?
She, hers.
He, they. Doesn't
Same,
matter.
she, her.
Okay, thank you. I'm
And you?
he, him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so the very difficult task is here we have some stones. Now you could see I kind of already cut one, but one of them is going to resonate with you. Not sure what it might be. You might be already thinking of your idea, so then you could see your animal or whatever it is on that stone. Or sometimes it's just like, I like the way this curves. I like this like rough patch, you know? And I really enjoy giving people that autonomy.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I'll also grab one, and just so I'm kind of going along with you. And so the first step is this, pulling this idea out. We want to, if we could see it in our mind, we want to pull it into the physical world by either just saying it, saying what you see, or even starting to sketch it. So for me, I have this like, it's kind of oblong, but what I see, my traditional name is Thunder Bear, and I love that because I feel like I have a loud voice that is meant to be heard. That's my excuse for being loud, actually. But you can see that I often do bears, and I'm using this curvature of this bear on here as the bum of the bear. And then as it curves up like this, I'm going to put a head looking up. Something like this.
Nice.
And then I'm going to have a paw going forward like it's walking.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah. And you want to fill up the stone. You want to go from this end to this end. You want to utilize as much of the stone as possible, because if you draw any smaller, that's actually more work for you, because you have to remove that stone. So we want to utilize the curvature and things like that. And I could help draw it if there's something you need help with. Am I getting a sense that it's a bear?
A seal.
Could it be?
What's the vision?
Yeah, what's your vision, Danielle?
You know what? I think it might actually be there.
It's a bear, everyone. It's a bear.
Yeah.
Solid choice.
Yeah.
Hard dog.
Rest dog.
And I would just want to remind everyone on our live, while I have a second, that I am watching live comments. So if you have any questions for Fredrick or Danielle or Kale or I, you can put it in the comments and I'll make sure to ask. Yeah.
Oh, Bigfoot.
And how did you get into carving?
Yeah.
Like, how did this start for you?
Yeah. So one thing for me, and I love this concept of being vulnerable, being open. I've always lived my life with like my heart on my sleeve, and so that's what I'm gonna be today. I'm gonna be vulnerable. I'll share stuff that I've had to work through, but I just want to have people be aware that there are sensitive information that I'll share.
For sure.
And that I apologize if it upsets anyone. But I'm a recovering addict. I had a close friend of mine take their life when I was 17, and it really changed the trajectory of my life, but So I spent 9 years kind of lost. That's what it was. So I will say that this bum should be all the way back. Yeah. And so when I, like, I'll just use the term turn my life around, not that like there's any shame with it, but when I came out of it, I started feeling things again. One of the first emotions I felt was joy. And it's a very funny story. To me, it's funny. Some people might find it kind of sad, but
Those are the best stories.
I was like, you know what do I need in my life? And these like very cliche things like go skydiving, get a motorcycle,
Of course.
and then drive across the country, which I never did. But those were these things in my head that I was like, this is what will help me. And I was driving my motorcycle over the Disraeli Bridge, and the sun was just rising, and it hit the water, and just as I come up, it hit my visor, and I was driving to Red River College to finish my journeyman ticket, and I just started crying. So I'm driving my motorcycle crying, so that's cool. And I was like, I'm so happy to be alive. And from that point on, I found Soapstone. I've always been creative, but I found out where to buy it. Artist Emporium has a good selection if anyone's interested. And I bought a piece. I bought 2 pieces. One of them didn't go well at all.
Your first one?
My first one was
course.
very bad. I worked for 2 weeks on a buck, on a whitetail buck, with the antlers and everything. And that's why now with the workshops, especially with someone doing it for the first or second time, I'm like, dial back the complexity, because I worked 2 weeks very hard, and then it fell and broke. And it broke into about 8 different pieces, and I was just...
That's so sad.
Yeah, I was defeated, and I didn't think I was gonna try it again, but I did, and the next one I did a bison, and it's much bigger body and little horns. So when I was done with that piece, I was proud of myself. I just gave myself this joy again. Wow! And I show everybody, look at what I made. You know, this isn't it. Obviously, my first pieces ended up with my son's mother as gifts. But when I was done, I was like, I'm proud of myself. And this really helped me. I didn't think about all the past. And so I wanted to share it. I wanted to share it with as many people as I could. If it brought me joy and it made me feel proud of myself, I want other people to feel this. Maybe they struggled with the same stuff that I have. And so I volunteered at Salome Mission for 2 years doing these workshops, these little workshops. It was 3 hours a week, and that's where it came from. It came from my heart. It really came from a place that, you know, I want other people to feel the same emotions that I get when I make my first piece. And did you two show your pieces off?
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you still have them?
I
Yeah.
do. I should have brought it in.
Me
It
too.
sits on my TV.
Yeah.
What did you make the first time?
I made a turtle.
I made a bear. They're very similar to
Amazing.
that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so like now I get to live vicariously through other people. When I see them, they just light up. Like, look at what I made. This is awesome. And now I get, it's a bit of a selfish thing, but I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I helped with that. But okay, so we have the drawing. If people can
Beautiful.
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the bear. So the first thing that we can do is we could remove a lot of stone that can be taken out with a hacksaw.
Okay.
Okay, and you could see here, it's kind of, there's a chunk here that didn't need to be there, so I cut it off. So I'll do this part, if that's okay.
Yeah.
That's also like a pretty decent drawing, Danielle. It's actually super impressive. You even,
Really good.
you even have like the curves in there, like that's incredible. Also, Donna says there's nothing wrong with Bannock thumbs. She heard you.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with that. I was like, I see you. How much bears do you think you've made? Or with people?
I would probably go around the 1,000 mark, if not more.
That's crazy.
At this point, yeah. Are these feet further back?
I think they might be, yeah. Like
Or do you have
about
one
there.
kind of walking forward?
Um,
Or would you like that?
I could try it.
Okay.
So is this something you do for all of your participants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's it removes quite a bit, and it helps them see what they're like. You already get the shape out pretty quickly, and that's a good feeling for people because I don't want them spending 2 weeks on,
Yeah.
and that's often what they say is like, oh wow, I see it already.
Nice.
Yeah.
I see it already.
It always amazes me how like soft it is,
Right?
the stone.
Yeah, so this stone I get specifically because it's the softest that you could get. It's Brazilian soapstone,
Okay.
and there's other soapstones that are like very hard. Specifically here in Manitoba, like I know I got some soapstone from Randy Ducharme from Manakatogan, and Winnipeg Owl, sorry. Hollow water.
Yeah.
And I've worked with that, and it was quite hard. So I always like to make sure that first timers have a sense of, it's not gonna really defeat them.
Is the soapstone that we have here, is that Manitoba soapstone?
I'm not. It doesn't look like it, but
Okay.
I like that soapstone.
Yeah.
I haven't. I don't think I've been able to find that type of soapstone either.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. It might be more northern,
Cool.
or it might be some special place that Randy should tell me where he found it. One difficulty is I have to purchase mine, and I haven't been able to harvest it myself. People do know where it is, but aren't really sharing that information.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's like the sacred berry spots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
You gotta
so how I approach the bear is very like analytical almost, where I have 3 steps. We want to do the legs first,
Okay.
and then we want to move towards the head, or the body, and then finish with the head.
All right.
And so what I would like, and I'm sure your bear would like, is 4 legs. So you could see that you take a file. This one is perfect, and you're going to go straight up to center,
Okay.
and try to go as straight as you can.
Okay.
And here, actually, I might be able to help a little bit if I score it first. That might be a lot easier.
There you go.
Sweet.
You're in business.
Keep talking. I feel rude.
All the
I'm sorry, I was just like so entranced by what you're doing there. Wow.
What was the most intricate piece you made?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So I've done a few pieces with antlers. That's always
be
fun to incorporate the antler in. I just finished a really nice piece that I can't share right now because it's an award for the U of M for their business. It's called Vibe. I was commissioned to do some, and it's very vague with this intricacy. But one thing that I've really liked lately is doing dream catchers inside these stones, and I've done a set of awards for the conference that I actually did a workshop at, and I had 9 awards. Each one had a dream catcher, and there was 7 teachings, and then a grandmother moon and a grandfather stone. And I really loved how they turned out.
Is that behind us?
It's not here. We have it in the corner. Sure.
Oh, you're right. Did you
grab
win?
it?
Yeah.
You won one.
We won.
Yeah.
Dennis won one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So we have it. It's back there somewhere. It's the wolf. It should be there. No, it's
It's
dark
a black
stone.
wolf.
Yeah. Unless it got moved up to his office.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be in his office.
Yeah, okay. I forgot that, yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis won one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I was given the names of the winners beforehand. And
Right.
I didn't really think about it, but I did post on my story all these like awards that had their names on it. And I was like, somebody was like, you know, there's names on there that,
Haven't been announced
yeah.
yet.
So that was a fun experience.
Donna says, I love the ASMR.
Oh, I know.
Start whispering into the mic.
If I had acrylics
That's
on,
funny.
I could have.
So you mentioned a bit about like volunteering at Slow Mission. How did you start doing workshops for like organizations and groups and stuff?
Yeah, it was like I was doing the volunteering, and we had other artists in. It was this very new thing. It was an art mentorship program. So they had different artists from different mediums coming in, and after about a year, we wanted to do like a collective art showing of all the art that was made. And so we got together for a First Friday, and I was interviewed by CTV at the time. I think I did a horrible job, but maybe it wasn't so bad. And then I had started getting some like responses from people. I think one of my first workshops was at CEDA, which is an organization in the North End.
Okay.
And it just kind of like trickled out, but what happened was, oh, wonderful, yeah, there we go.
Yes, I don't know if you could see this.
Oh, it's nice to see it again.
That one?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of dream catchers of late, and I've also have been getting bigger. As you can see with Randy's stuff, my stuff
Yeah.
is starting to approach there in terms of complexity. But
Nice.
yeah, I think out of all of them, like I hold this one most dear to my heart, and it's been the most popular piece. I've maybe sold about 20 of them, and I still have orders for more. But yeah, I'm very,
I didn't even realize that was Soapstone until just now.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Where could one buy one of those?
Yeah, you could. I have a website, and they are there. But again, I'm like, I'm starting up for market season. I'm gonna be at the WAG, so I'm gonna be making more. So I'll be at the WAG, and I'll have some available there for crafted.
Yeah.
But it's always like I always try to have inventory of them because they sell so quickly. Yeah.
That reminds me, how did you get into like your business with Spence Custom Carving?
Yeah, and again, it like is very unintentional because soapstone carving is actually part of my mental health, art in general. That's why I do improv. and like that's why I did Lego when I was growing up and still do. Now I have more money to access more Lego, which is terrible. And
Full-size Death Star.
yeah, I haven't gone that far yet, but when it came to like the business side of things, I was just creating art, and I was doing it because it was good for my mental health. And the more I created, the more feedback I got, and one of the more influential was my son's mother's family. So a shout out to John and Jerry Menzies, because they were the ones who actually purchased a few of my first pieces.
Nice.
And again, it wasn't in terms of like, oh, I'm gonna do this and make money. It was like, oh, I'm doing this for myself. And what ended up happening was I started making too much that it would take up so much shelf space.
Yeah.
And there was this moment where I was like, you have to start getting rid of some of these.
Yeah.
So I started selling some, but it was during COVID. So like the workshops completely died down.
Yeah.
Even the art program at the Salome Mission actually was shut down. And you know, everyone's life was changed through that. We almost like try to forget. It's like a foggy 2 years, two plus years.
Yeah.
But it gave me time to like focus on my own art, which then in turn made me a better teacher. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it was, I can't even really think about it, but it was like I had to kind of separate, because I was working for a nonprofit called Waterways and a charity called Spirit North.
Yeah.
Both of them empowering Indigenous youth through sport and recreation. Very lovely organizations. Waterways I hold very dear to my heart, and there I had to have like a separate thing for the carving side of it. So I was selling pieces and I was doing workshops. So I was like, okay, well, it makes sense to kind of have a business side of things here. And I made it not with the intention, like I didn't visualize it being a full-time thing right away. I was like, this is something that's happening every once in a while.
Yeah.
Sometimes I make pieces and sometimes people buy them, but not often am I like pushing that. So it was I've been full-time since January of this year.
Okay,
So
wow.
this is my first year doing the workshops, making my own art, and it's humbling, and I appreciate the support that I get, and I thank you for inviting me here. So that's
awesome. Well, like you seem to be doing pretty well, because multiple times now I've had people recommend you, like, oh, you should reach out to Fredrick, you should reach out to Fredrick. So I'm glad we finally got the opportunity to work with you and have a chance to learn from you. We also have a question from Donis. Who are the carvers who inspire you? I'm sure there's so many.
I'm gonna feel so bad about this because I was self-taught.
Yeah.
And I actually don't know that many carvers. I know like Randy, I've gone to his house, I've had really nice conversation with him. He's very nice. And like, so his work does inspire me.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I've had a hard time finding carvers to like be mentor with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you teach yourself how to carve then? Like, how did that work? If you didn't have a mentor, like you didn't apprentice with anyone, how did you do that?
Yeah, it's like, for me, I've always been creative. Like I used to draw. I a really good drawer when I was in like high school, leaving high school. I loved Lego. I just keep plugging Lego. I am not sponsored by Lego. And actually one of the most influential people in my life in terms of like my art would have been my older brother Nathan. And he didn't know it, but he drew these really amazing things. He's also played guitar, which I wish I followed with. But he used to carve candles. And I as a kid, I would just be like, wow, that's like, and I remember even then when I was young, I want to carve.
Yeah.
Like I want to do that one day. And it just so happened that Soapstone's this wonderful medium for it. You know, candles can be they can melt. These ones are a little bit more durable, but yeah, my brother would have been one of the first people to kind of introduce me to this idea,
Nice.
this sculpting.
I love that. That's awesome.
So when it came to the self-teaching, it was a lot of trial and error. And yeah, I'm not I feel like sometimes teaching can be more natural for people. It's just part of like how my mind works, I guess. And yeah, I'm like thinking about it. Yeah, I feel like that the process of like doing my own carving and kind of walking myself through that is there's like a lot that you could learn when you have to like really struggle through it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just something that just naturally happened. It was something that like I had to work on. And then at a point I'm like, I want to share this. I want to share this with people.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to get to a point where you were confident in your work and like proud of it?
So it's funny because I was proud of my own work.
At the
Like,
very beginning?
yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Well, with at least my second piece, the fact that I finished it, it's a nice bison, and I wish I had images of it, but
You can send it to us later, like send
Yeah.
me a photo and I'll put it in the comments
Okay,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
and yeah, so that feeling of being proud was there right away, and that's why I wanted to share it with people. But sometimes you don't give yourself that credit. There's maybe a little bit of self-doubt.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome is
Yeah.
a big one. And so that's also, that might tie into why I haven't found a mentor. It's because I like maybe don't think I'm on that level to have someone help me, or yeah, I think I've tried one time, and the conversation I had with the sculptor wasn't beneficial to me. It didn't feel like it was going to be a good fit, so I didn't follow up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, even I just recently applied for like the Canada Arts Council, just as a profile, like just to create a profile, and I put in there professional artist, and their response was like, you're not a professional artist, so you can't be here, or this application doesn't fit what we see as a professional artist.
Really?
Yeah. So like sometimes that attaches to you, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Aw. I'll go back to making Lego then.
Yeah. But like there's certain criterias is like you need to have like exhibitions. You need like you need to be in a gallery, and these certain things to like signify
Right.
that you're a professional artist, which I am moving towards. I've only been full-time since January, so it's a process, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping by next year to be having a solo show and have pieces just to, yeah. I'm gonna be at the Winnipeg Fine Art Fair in April, but I do. For me, what I envision for the future is like I still want to do these workshops, and what I would love, and I believe in manifestation, and I believe in this power of like your mind, and if you can see it and visualize it and feel it, and you tell yourself this is going to happen, you can make that happen. And honestly, the past 3 years now, that mind shift of the way you look at things has been like amazing in my life. And so I'll share what I'm manifesting. I would love to have a workshop space. It has to have a garage door so that I can come in, access with truckloads of soapstone. It'll have a proper space. It'll have all the like power tools, and it'll have table chairs in the middle if for not just soapstone workshops, but also like mukluk making, moccasin, beading, like dream catchers, painting. Like I would love for it to be more of a community workshop, and attached to the workshop would be a gallery. So the workshop space would be open to community members. It would be like a 9 to 5, whatever, for certain days. Organizations can also like rent the space and access workshops through me or through other people, artists. But the main concept was to have this workshop accessible to community members who utilize Main Street Project, Salome Mission, Salvation Army, and they could come in, create art in a safe space, and then sell it in the gallery or on the website. Instead of, oftentimes you see people selling their art on the street for pennies or dollars, and this way they're able to create art in a safe space and then sell it. So that's what I envision. It was a 10-year plan, but I'm trying to get it closer to a 5-year plan. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So that's the future goal.
That's the goal.
And yeah, that looks great. And you did the pause wonderfully.
You want to show the camera where you're at, Danielle?
Sure. Which one? That one. All right.
So now we want to do the body. And as you can see here, yeah, I like this crack. It actually broke and I glued it back together.
Oh, okay.
So when it's done, you'll see this nice crack. Yes. I didn't want to say it's on the butt. You have a, yeah, never mind. So what we want to do is we want to have this like curvature on the butt, on the bear's bump.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna start rounding that. What I could even do.
Well, it's a Cree bear, so it needs to be flat.
Oh yeah. That is. So what I like to do is I like to target these corners, and what that does is if you're filing these down, you're actually rounding all 3 sides, and as you go into the center, you leave a tail. So if you carve at this down, and then carve on this side, you'll naturally see this tail just kind of emerge.
All right.
And one,
So
yeah,
that I wore black pants today.
and like this one also, yeah. I just, oftentimes I'll say the bigger files do remove more skin if you, but
Yeah.
you've been handling it wonderfully.
Yeah, amazing. I'm actually so impressed. Like, I looked away for a second, and it's a bear.
Got legs.
Amazing. I love it. And we had a comment from online too. For me as a sewer and beater, we say that buying supplies is one of the funnest parts of the making process. Is buying and looking for soapstone like that for you?
Yeah, actually, it's a funny, cause like my garage right now is like,
Yeah.
Just a bunch of rocks.
yeah, full. And if anyone was like, well, I did have somebody come in and took a tool.
Yeah.
But if anyone came in and they were just like, what is this guy doing? Like, you know, there's no concept to be like, oh, this is soapstone. But yeah, my garage is just littered with soapstone. And when I get new soapstone, it is quite fun. And sometimes what I'll do is like, I'll get a new stone and I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh wow, this is really nice. I'll cut it up, I'll take it to a workshop, and I haven't even worked on it yet. Like I haven't even created anything with it yet.
Yeah.
And then I give it to people to have their first time with this stone. And when they make it, I'm just like, oh man, look, that's so nice. So like I'm just as enthusiastic as they are when they see the finished product.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and there's a bit of like, and I'm sure this goes with a lot of people, is like you already have the inventory, you have the supplies, the materials, but you're like, yeah, I should probably get another thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have enough, but then you're like, no, I'll do it, get some more.
Just in
Yeah.
case.
Yeah.
Just in
Oh, I'm
case.
so bad for that.
I can relate. I'm not an artist, but I'm like that with books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 What book are you reading right now?
You don't want to know.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm currently in the Throne of Glass series. Have you heard of it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah. my reading material is more like self-help and like, but
Okay, yeah.
I would love to be reading like for pleasure, for
Yeah.
like fantasy and stuff. I love dragons and knights and all those types of stories. I'm not sure what this one's about, but.
Dragons and knights.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
So now what you'll do is you'll track this down, but like this rough part, I really like this, you know. So oftentimes I'll say like you could leave that, and so I would take this out.
Okay.
So you're gonna carve down, and so it lines up with this foot. But on this side, I would leave this. This looks really good.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Circling back to books, I just got a new one that was published like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm
Never
so
Whistle
jealous.
at Night,
Mm.
and it's like all indigenous scary stories basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Wow.
I felt it was very appropriate for the season.
What's it called, sir?
Never
Never
Whistle
Whistle
at
at
Night.
Night.
It's right there.
Okay.
It's in
Yeah,
the
we should
library.
plug this for sure.
Hello.
100%.
And where did you get it?
They have it at
Indigo?
Chapters Indigo. I'm not too sure that McNally has it just yet, but call around. I
Yeah.
highly recommend it.
So,
Okay.
what's one of the stories in there that gave you the creeps? Do you read it at night alone?
Oh, I always do.
Really?
I'm a big horror fan, so like getting like a lot of them actually are quite familiar. Like
Oh.
just like stories I've heard from people I know or things like that, but I haven't read anything fully yet. It's like I just got it this week. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. Sharissa's gonna be my like book club buddy this
Yeah.
this month.
I'm
so.
getting it, and we're gonna read it together. Yeah. TikTok, the ones who killed us. Snakes are born in the dark. Before I go. Yeah, and it's so beautiful too. I love this cover.
I'm obsessed with the cover. That was a big reason
Yeah.
I was so intrigued by it.
I know. I have another one of his books at home. Indians. I can't remember what it's called. The Good Indians or something. I can't remember. But I have it at home, and I'm excited to read that one too. I have a list of like creepy October reads that I'm gonna go through. I'm really
Awesome.
excited.
Mhm.
That's another one.
Okay. So we have like this nice curvature on the butt now, and right here is like the shoulders. As it comes up, there's our shoulders. So what I typically will do is I'll take a little dip. So how the bear, it kind of has shoulders are high and then a dip, and then the bum goes a bit high again. So it kind of goes like this. So you could use this one. It's a half moon file.
Alright.
And you just kind of go straight across here, and it'll give you that nice curvature.
Alright.
So you're just working on like the back of the bear right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Alright.
Yeah, and I always like, honestly, like these little small ones have been really fun for me. Yeah, I really like that wolf, and like just how that one foot is like kind of off to the side and oblonged.
Yeah. It's like he's strutting. I like it. Are these all carvings that you've done?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah, I always like, I try to bring stuff that might inspire people, but also to see different stages of it. And like this is like the very start of the stage, just a sketch and a cut, and then it starts to kind of go a little bit more into the dimensions of it.
Yeah.
And then this one is basically done, but if I bring them for examples, people often are like, oh, what's this? And they like, it'll hit it with a file and
Yeah.
scratch them. So I'm like, I don't finish them completely now.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one actually, when it is finished, will be beautiful. It's got like this really cool color pattern and marbling inside.
Yeah.
But I know this stone's gonna be nice too.
Are there different kinds of soapstone? I know nothing about soapstones.
Yeah.
Like, are these all different types of soapstone?
So they're different types, they're different colors, but they're still technically all Brazilian soapstone.
Okay.
But yeah, soapstone can be found basically anywhere in the world, but it's like, there's three things that really have to happen for soapstone to form. There has to be tectonic pressure, so these like massive continents pushing,
Yeah.
even like, so mountain ridges, the Canadian Shield, you're gonna find soapstone there. And then there has to be like an immense heat, almost like volcanic activity. And then there's a cooling system, so like there has to be some water erosion.
Okay.
So these three perfect things have to occur, and then soapstone is formed. And the main mineral in it is talc, which is baby powder,
That makes
and
sense.
that's why you have this like softness, and people associate it with being like soapy.
Wow.
Yeah. And so like in different areas of the world, the minerals there are going to be different. So Brazil just happens to have softer minerals, while the soapstone here in Manitoba is quite hard.
Yeah.
And I've gotten soapstone from Africa, Italy, America, BC, Ontario. Yeah, it's like you could find it everywhere. The tough part is that most of the time it's a byproduct of mining or blasting roads, or they're excavating, they're making a quarry, whatever. So they have all these like abilities to expose the stone, while me, I'm not gonna find it just walking down a path or like
Okay.
going
That was
into-
my next question.
Yeah.
Have you ever found it anywhere?
When I was working for the charity, I was going up to Bloodvein and Barons River and Hollow Water a lot, and I would drive by a ton of quarries, right? Because they just put in a road, and I would stop and spend some time walking through here, and I would carry around a file and be like, is this it? And it's like, no. And I'm like, it's really hard for me to identify it because I just haven't been taught that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this looks really good. So what we're gonna do now is we wanna curve this down.
Okay.
So it's gonna end up actually attaching to this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so like, yeah, if I'm going like this, I'm gonna kind of go at this 45-degree angle,
Okay.
like this.
And I'm just seeing MICC posted a comment for those watching online. If you have any questions for Fredrick or us, you can post them in the comments. I'm watching the live stream, and I can make sure to bring your questions and ask them live. Yeah. So you're working on the hips now? It's so crazy to me that you learned to do this by yourself.
Yeah, and like I didn't really I don't know, I didn't really associate that part. I was just like, okay, well, like I can't really find it.
Yeah. Hi.
Tanse.
Susan.
Free celebrity is walking the door.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Ken Papanicus is here, everyone.
Don't mind us.
Yeah, and I'll just yeah, so that looks good. And then as you're coming down, I'll like this is a triangle file and it has this sharp edge that if you go right in there, and what it does is it like separates the belly from this foot, and you could do the same thing.
Perfect.
Right there. So then now it's just kind of taking out this belly area, and you would have to use a smaller file.
This guy.
So do you guys do any other forms of art?
I'm primarily textiles me, so I knit, I crochet, I needlepoint.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know that's also very therapeutic and very like grounding and yeah, all the
repetitive. Yeah. For me, it's the repetition is what really calms me down. So
right.
sitting and crocheting for like hours on end usually helps, but then it's terrible for the neck.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm like, I've got a bad shoulder now from like doing this so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And like once I'll try and like change it up, and it's like this one's not as like coordinated.
Yeah. These two are really good artists. Like, Kayla's an artist.
Yeah, I paint and bead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I write. I'm into film too.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I've only like I've done some painting. I was like doing like YouTube tutorials through COVID, but like I haven't really.
Afternoons with Bob Ross.
Yeah, I was there.
It's like it's funny when you're trying to watch a tutorial and it's like they're like, okay, you're just gonna go and it's like a minute on their video and you're like, oh, you gotta keep rewinding and it takes you an hour to do what they just did.
Yeah.
So I thought that was frustrating.
Yeah. Ito
Fatima.
ko mitnan.
It's the first time I've ever seen him in person.
Really?
Yeah.
Just on the back of his book or what?
Yeah.
Sorry, who's that?
That's Ken Papanicus.
He's
I don't
like
know.
a
He's
Cree.
the. Are we gonna plug another book right
Yeah,
now? He's
writer
the
of
author
Pocket
of Pocket Cree.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
he's also a professor at the University of Manitoba. He was my first Cree teacher.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah. Well, except for my granny and grandpa. I guess I can't say first.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Ouch, grandma.
Sorry, granny.
Where could you buy that book? Just
Well, actually, you can purchase Pocket Cree here at 119 Sutherland from Indigenous Languages of Manitoba.
I have the pocket Ojibwe.
same.
Of course.
Yeah. Shout out to
Mean
Pat.
blondes.
It's funny. We just actually, I spent some time with Ken editing Pocket Crate. So there's a new edition out, and the title's changed now. Now it's Pocket Inanimuen.
Nice.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Pocket Inanimuen. So some of the mistakes that were in there previously are all gone now.
Do you know when that would
Thanks
be
to you.
available?
It's available now.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nice.
thanks to
Yeah,
me. Just kidding. No, Ken did all the work. I was just there. I was just support.
Shaping up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
didn't-
bear.
It's funny, I didn't even do anything on mine.
Just chatting away and I'm just.
Yeah, I think it's best I just,
Just support. I'm interested to see how you're gonna do like the head.
yeah. So, one thing is like, I applied for a school, artists in schools grant. And I went into a school, it was 5 days. I did 10 workshops with 150 kids.
Oh, that's crazy.
And each of them did a bear. So I really had to get this like structured concept down. And it was like, it's interesting because it's like, oftentimes there's like powers of 3. So it's like, I have 3 steps. One of them is the brainstorming, the concept making, listening to your spirit, you know, bringing that out. Step 1. Step 2 is the cutting and the filing. And then the step 3 is the sanding and the oil, or beeswax or mineral oil, whatever
Okay.
you choose to. Yeah, you could actually like, traditionally it's the oil from your skin.
Okay.
So you would like
So sacred.
go work, yeah. I love the idea of, and I haven't done it yet, but taking a stone into a sweat, you know, and sitting with it, and then leaving, filing it, creating whatever it's meant to be, and then going back, and then putting your sweat into it.
Yeah.
And then that probably sounds gross, and I probably won't sell it.
It's secret.
Yeah, you're not gonna, that one won't be for sale ever.
Piece of you.
Yeah,
I always wondered how artists made the soapstone shiny after. Like it always looks so clean and pretty and shiny.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, what I think about is like how they did it 50, 60 years ago or longer, like the tools that they would have used bone and like
Yeah.
one thing they used to sand them was actual sand. They would take sand and rub that on to smooth it out.
Nice.
And like you could use like the oil from animals, the bear
Bear
grease.
grease.
Yeah. So that's like, I like, especially with my bigger pieces, like I do use power tools to take some stuff off. But I'm like, you know, even Randy, when I talked with Randy, he was like, I showed him this tool I had, and he was just like, wow, could you imagine what I could have done? Like all the stuff I could have done with this. And he's like, this is so that I'm always like a bit thankful.
So like, what do you know about traditional soapstone carving?
Yeah, so what I know is that like for the Anishinaabe, is that the soapstone was used more for practical purposes, bowls, utensils, stuff like that. Like it wasn't often used as an art form. And I don't like, this is, it's tough with me on this information because I was given this information by word of mouth.
Yeah.
So I can't say with 100% certainty, but up north in Nunavut, when they would carve, they were carving to make toys for the kids.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's why there are so many dolls and big bears and stuff like that. It was like the kids would be playing with them. And when settlers came, they saw these art, right? Because like overseas they had Michelangelo and all these like sculptors and stuff, so they're like, this is art. And so they were like, we'll trade you this for that. And they were like, hey, they want these toys. They're idiots, eh? And like, okay, let's give it to them. So I like, that's what I've heard, and I love that concept, because even when I make, when my son was smaller, he would play with them all the time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they look like. They look like toys, right?
Yeah.
But not often are people buying soapstone to be like, yeah, go ahead, kids.
Play nicely with your sister now.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
step are you on now there?
I don't know. She snatched anyway.
She's snatched.
What's that hot summer or hot girl summer or
Hot girl
something like that?
Hot girl summer.
Hot bears.
Hot bear, yeah.
That's such a millennial thing of you to ask.
Like, what is
What's
that?
that?
What's these words these days?
Oh, that's funny.
I think I'm the only one who's Gen Z here, so
Are you really?
I think so. I'm just
Think so,
millennial.
eh?
I'm like right in the middle. So
Yeah, what's the next one? Because we're running out of like
Generation
alphabet.
Alpha,
Alpha?
So it just
Okay.
I think.
so it goes back to the,
Yeah,
and now it's military.
the I generation. Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah, I thought they were going with Generation I.
I generation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like iPhone?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, that looks good. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna just like kind of tackle the head and start. So
Noggin.
yeah, how I like, and again when it comes to these bears, I have this like 3-step system: feet, body, head. And then the head itself has this 3-step system. And if you could see, this is a good example. So if you're looking straight down on it, on this side, it's 1, 2, 3. And they just look like a set of stairs, 3 steps. And the same thing on this side. And then once you do that and you turn it and you look at it like this, again, the ears, the forehead, and then the snout. 1, 2, 3. So right now we could see that there's like a little area. I drew it out, so we could cut those off. So, I'll just make this darker. Yeah, so you're going to change kind of your positioning and how you're filing, and you're gonna go straight down. The one file that I would use is gonna either be the circle file or the triangle file. And you're kind of going at a downward, and you're just trying to remove the stone that is there, right?
Okay.
So once you kind of give it this this void, you could take a flat file and flatten that out a bit. And then that's how you get that like 1 step. And you could kind of see off to the side that snout that's already starting to emerge, right? I keep forgetting that.
Just have to put like a GoPro on my head.
Yeah.
Kayla, you want to show them what we're going for with that
This
one?
one?
Yeah.
It's like the ears, face, and snout. Oh, is it this one?
Yeah. I'm a little behind on the live, so I can't always.
Okay, yeah, that was the right
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah, and if anybody is curious, you could always reach out. I'll be doing a lot more workshops throughout the holidays and then leading into the winter.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Where can people find you? Like,
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I'm really bad with posting often, especially throughout the summer. I haven't posted, I think, once. But I am on Instagram. I'll post workshops that are coming up. I'll post some work that I'm doing. I've sold pieces through Instagram. And then I also have a website that I use. There's some pieces on there. And then yeah, just email, phone call. Like it's been. I like to say that like every experience or every interaction I have that has to do with Soapstone or anything like that, even in life, it doesn't matter, but is like a domino.
yeah.
So it leads to something else, whether or not it's like a relationship or a connection or, you know, an opportunity. So I feel like a lot has been like word of mouth, like you said, people,
Yeah.
hey, you should, yeah.
Yeah, reach out to Fredrick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, actually, I had a school reach out. They were like, hey, we would like for you to come and do a workshop with our students. And I'm like, yes, of course. And then like a week later, I guess, the principal went up to the same teacher and was like, hey, you should really try and get this carver in. And she's like, oh yeah, I've already booked it and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's funny when it's like kind of multiple people.
So your website is spencecustomcarving.com.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll put it in the comments
Yeah.
after too. And what's your Instagram handle?
It's Spence _custom_carving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was like, when I was thinking of it, I'm like, I have to think of a really cool name, you know. I have to like, it's gotta like, and I'm like,
Gotta be catchy.
yeah. So now I'm like, Spence Custom Carving. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was the same thing with the name for this. I was like, okay, I gotta come up with something super clever, witty, cute. Like, no. Soapstone carving with Fredrick
It could have been like 3 people watch 1 person carve.
Oh well.
Watch us, watch Danielle. And how would you, like if somebody wanted to learn to start carving and kind of are on the same path that you were on,
Yeah.
learning on their own, they don't really have a mentor or somebody to apprentice with, how would you recommend that they start?
Yeah, like the way that I did it, I kind of went the hard route. I think it's always nice to have somebody in your corner and helping. I think like it's something that I've struggled with is actually asking for help, and I think a lot of people struggle with that, you know. So like I wouldn't necessarily say to do it alone, and like this is a good opportunity that like reach out to me and I could help you. I could put together a kit, some files, or where you could get them, and yeah, like I've never thought of it, but I guess I could mentor people if they chose me, you know, if it was a good fit for them.
Yeah.
I did, so I technically live in the North End, but I'm like on the Scotia Heights side of Maine. So it's like, I don't necessarily feel like I'm in the North End.
Yeah.
But oftentimes I'll be working in my garage and people just like walk by and they're just like interested. Hey, what are you doing? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm doing soapstone carving. They seem interested. So I grab a stone and I give it to them. And I say, here you go. Like you could find the files here, or you could, but like come back if you want more, come back, bring your piece, show me what you made, and I'll give you another piece. Like, and so like it would be the same way if somebody like reached out and was like, hey, I'm really interested in starting. And I've had somebody reach out recently actually, and I'm trying to put together kits. So you'll get a stone, you'll get a file, you'll get the sandpaper, the beeswax, and then instructions or like a video link if you have access to that.
Yeah.
But that's something that's in the works.
Like you're creating videos?
I don't know. We'll see. Like,
Are there YouTube videos out there to show how?
there are
Okay.
some. Like I've looked at some, but when I started out, there didn't seem to be much content, I guess, and yeah, it was interesting. Now, if you look, there's a lot more content around it. Actually, I have this really nice moment because I didn't know how to finish the piece. You know, like what you said. How do you make it so shiny?
Yeah.
And I didn't know. And so after I had finished my first bison, I remember it sat for almost a year because I didn't know how to finish it. And so I did some Google searching and some videos and whatnot, but I found it was always like not the right information.
Yeah.
And so somebody was like, yeah, you got to use like car wax. So I went and bought car wax and I'm like using it and it turned out terrible. I'm like, this isn't working. One of the things was it's called tongue oil. So you could put this tongue oil on, it's room temperature, so it goes on like a paint. But it's very chemical based. It's very man-made. It's poisonous. But I do use it in the workshops because it's quick, it's fast, and it gets the finished product, and you can get the shine to it. The other option is doing beeswax, and with that, it's often you have to heat up the stone.
Yeah.
But the way that I came across the beeswax method was I went into this store on Main and Logan, Creations. I'm plugging Creations now.
Nice.
Lovely store.
Creation.
Yeah, and I actually did a workshop with the woman who started it, Edna, and and her son's a carver.
Oh, cool.
And so I walked into the store and I bring some of the pieces that I had made, and I said, would you be interested in selling these pieces for me? And he gave me the commission rate. Often a lot of places it's 40%, like the WAG is 40%. And so he was looking at my work and he's like, this is good, this is great work. He's like, but I could tell that you're using tongue oil. And I said, oh, well, that's the method that I just found online. And he said, well, the method that I use is you heat up the stone in the oven and you pull it out while it's still hot, and then you melt this beeswax on it, and then you dip it in ice cold water. And it kind of shocks the stone, but also the beeswax onto the stone. But what that does is afterwards you have to polish this beeswax, and it's it adds 2 or 3 hours to the process. So with workshops, it's not ideal. I won't be able to really give people that. So I still use the beeswax. I mean, the tongue oil. I use it personally, but there's this other method, and it was a really nice moment because he pulled out beeswax and was here. And it was a nice way to be almost I'll accept you into the carving community. You know, I felt accepted. Yeah. I felt some sort of support.
Nice.
Yeah. So plugging Creations again.
What was his name?
I forget his name. Sorry.
Okay. No worries.
I'm bad with
It was a very I'm bad.
We'll just randomly go in and be like, "What's your son's name?"
Yeah.
Who's your mom?
Yeah.
Oh.
That looks
Wow.
good.
Yeah, it does look good.
And so like oftentimes in the workshops, it's like I'll have like 10 to 15 to 20. I think at our workshop there was like 30 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I do offer help. I do like I'll point out areas that need to be worked on, or like I'll actually do some filing. I like to say that I'll do a GST. 5%. if people like are accepting of that help. But you can see here, I don't think I've touched your stone.
She's too deadly.
Ever.
And what's the next step after she's got the 3 ridges in the ears?
Yeah, so once, and this is always different for everybody because some people can be perfectionists. And I used to, like, you know, spend hours and hours trying to like get it exactly. So I always say, like, when you're happy and when you're satisfied, we'll move towards the sanding part. And I try to give people some space with that. But sometimes I'm like, okay, well, you're running out of time.
Yeah.
So the next step would be sanding, and then we do a water sanding, and that's the moment. So all the work that we're doing, it's not until you do the water sanding that you like. And I wish I could have like a candid shot. Obviously, that's not going to happen here. But seeing someone's expression change when they see the stone and the different textures in it, the marbling. So yeah, so it's sanding and then a wet sanding. And then we're gonna do the skin oiling.
There was this really beautiful beaver that one of the participants did at your conference.
That's great. I still think
It's like smooth and marbly. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
But she was really taking her time with that, so I think that's why.
Yeah, and so like that's when it comes to the sanding part, I try to emphasize that like that's the part that's gonna give you the most like marbling and the most shiny. And like sometimes it's like people will just go, okay, I'm
That was
done.
me.
Yeah.
I'm like, regrets.
But like if did you oil yours?
Yeah, but I saw like people taking their time in the water.
Yeah.
I was like, I should have did that.
So it's actually it's less about the water and more about the dry sanding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like this will take a lot of the bigger chunk, like the bigger scratches out, and it makes the water sanding so much quicker. So if you wanted, you could take this, and you could just like
my bear.
you could sand yours again, even though it was oiled. You could sand it again, and I'll give you waterproof sanding paper too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Big witch.
Yeah.
Send pics.
Yeah.
I want to see too. You guys have to bring in your
Right.
carvings.
I know. I have a picture on my Instagram story. I just remembered
Today?
No, from ages ago.
Oh.
But it's in my.
Like, can I see it right now?
It's in my highlights. I have
Oh,
it in
okay.
my. What the heck's it called?
What time are we at?
We're at 11:26.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like it, eh?
No, it didn't.
No.
Not at all. How are we doing? Like, how close are we to the end now?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Just
It's
the sanding and then the oiling.
The
Yeah.
fine tuning. Yeah.
and so like yeah, what we could do is like we could sand it and do the water sanding. And because we're not using like the more permanent oil, you could always go back and do more if you wanted to.
I'm happy with
Are you
that for
happy?
now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Okay.
okay, show the camera.
Use Bigfoot.
I love it.
Yeah, so if you want to do the sanding part, yeah, that's the one thing I like.
The ears?
It's oftentimes people will leave the like, it's almost like a unibrow ear, so they just leave the 2 or the 1.
question from Donis. Can you post pictures of your finished carvings to this live YouTube? Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay.
These are nice ears.
Yeah.
Just a wicked loud doorbell to have.
Today.
Yeah.
It's busy.
Maybe a bingo stick by her.
It's so cute.
Yeah, and then
Nice.
like sometimes when I bring examples, people are very like, well, it has to match yours, and I'm like, but it's your stone, you know, and it's your work, and like it's part of that like compassion with yourself or your like your own uniqueness. Yeah,
Nice.
Water delivery.
and I know like I know 2 hours is a pretty like, even for me, I might have been able to finish mine. I probably could have, but I know there's always like a bit of extra things that people like to do even.
Yeah.
But yeah, the when there's like 10 or 15, the workshop ends up being about 3 hours, and people get the full thing done. But
And just a reminder, I'm seeing some new people joining the live. So we are answering questions from comments. So if you have anything you want to know, well, we have Fredrick here for the next half hour. If you'd like to know anything about him or the staff, Danielle, the process of carving, let us know and I'll make sure to ask for you. Oh my god, it's already looking so much cleaner.
Right. Sandpaper.
yeah, I'm gonna get some water.
Okay. Panic bomb.
Yep. She's just like me. Oh, I gotta move closer.
She's just
I just
like
felt
me.
like my big
Are you
head
proud?
was in the way. Yeah.
Is it easier doing it the second time
I think
than it was the
so.
first time?
I definitely think, yeah, it's definitely an acquired skill.
Yeah.
One of those things. Because prior to Fred's class, the only time I ever made soapstone was like just those little like arrowheads, you know?
Okay.
And
Oh,
just,
you used
packing
to like
them.
play with soapstone?
Oh
Or,
yeah,
like,
well, I had like leftover stuff whenever my high school would do programming and stuff. I would never be able to go, so I would just like play with whatever was left over in the art room.
okay.
Same.
Really?
Like even just these little things.
Yeah, like just like you take like a little shard and you can file them
Make a
into,
little
like,
necklace.
Yeah.
No
little
way,
arrow or
really?
something. Yeah.
We never had soapstone at my school.
And you're like way up north too, where there's probably a lot.
Yeah, what the heck? I never played with soapstone when I was a kid. Are you serious?
Played with soapstone?
Yeah, they're saying that they, like in their schools, they always had soapstone, so they would make stuff.
Just like
I
little-
never had that.
No, me neither.
What the heck?
It is interesting. Sometimes I'll do a workshop and I'll always ask, like, has anyone done this before? And people are like, I did it 50 years ago in kindergarten. Like, how do you remember kindergarten?
Yeah.
But like maybe that particular thing stood out, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't get it either.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, we would play with, like, the scraps. It would just be, like, random things. And then,
Like arrowheads?
yeah, like, just, like, whatever we felt indigenously about. So.
And this was in Peguis?
No, this was in Winnipeg.
Whoa.
I started school in Winnipeg when I was 7, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and like yeah, because there's so much like cutoffs and scraps and stuff, I have this big bin that I take to workshops or conferences or whatever, and markets. And if there's kids that come and they're just like, and I'll be like, here's a bin of soapstone. Take whatever you want.
Nice.
Take as much as you want, and maybe it's like a family activity later on. Yeah, I'm always like giving away my scraps.
Nice.
Fun that way.
We have another question. Can you do anything with all the dust that's left over?
Oh,
Like
I
all
get
of
that question like every workshop.
Yeah.
So, I I haven't done anything with it yet. I know there are uses for it. One of the more recent ones was like you could actually like polish metal with it. Another one is that like you can mix it with water and it almost becomes like a paste. So like there was like times that you like back in the day you would be able to actually like paint the horses and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But
Nice.
like and I did a workshop with it's called Art Beat. It's a organization in the exchange, and one of the artists was just like fascinated with the dust. Like there has to be a way to use this.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she took it, she mixed it with water, but also with glue, and she created almost like this like paper mache type of like it was like a circle thing. She was gonna paint on it, but there are uses you can. I just haven't really done much with it myself.
Not yet.
Yeah, and I have so much.
It could be snow for your Lego build.
Yeah.
There you go. Also, there's like a difference in color. I don't know if you guys can see it, but
From the back to the
Yeah.
front.
Yeah.
like just in those two pieces, you can see just like
Oh, yeah.
the difference in the sanding.
Are you happy?
I think
Can
so.
I touch it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's so soft. Cutting it.
Yeah.
She is lovely.
I'm interested in seeing how the water sanding process is.
Yeah.
It's like
So
really shiny.
this is always my favorite part for the person who's doing all the work, right? Because it can be, you're working on it for 3 hours and you're like, this isn't what I expected it to look like. And then once it goes into the water and you do a bit of sanding, you're like, there it is. So it's like this
I did it.
gratification, and
Yeah.
it's not instant. It takes that time.
Yeah.
I also have ADHD, and that's why you have a bunch of unfinished examples here.
A little bit of an attention. Yeah.
Start another project.
Yeah.
But this one is perfect. I'm bad for that
Same.
as well. With my work.
Beautiful.
Okay. So this is the part that
Oh, that made it worse.
Do you want me to push this over?
it doesn't create any like stains or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just.
I'll play with the sand.
So this is
The dust.
where you'll oh cool.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I missed it.
We're too busy.
So you could see where like it's like
Oh, beautiful color.
yeah. And so like when you start sanding, you can really see where the sanding has taken place to where it has to, right? So like it's almost like a milky white is covering up all these wonderful colors. So the more you do this, the more colors and stuff that are gonna come out.
Wow.
And then I have this towel when you're done.
Oh, I can already feel how like smooth this is in comparison to like over here. Some of it.
Yeah.
Can
Nice.
confirm.
Yeah.
It's almost like green.
It's a really nice color.
I love it.
I didn't even know there was waterproof sandpaper.
Me neither.
That's
So this
hilarious.
is the waterproof.
I'm just touching everything.
Sensory.
I always regret not participating. Like I always, in every workshop, I always exclude myself just to watch, and I always regret it.
Yeah.
No, I want a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like we 100% could have had all three of these
Yeah.
do a piece. You know, it kind of
Yeah,
feels like the same.
100%.
Yeah.
Instead, these are all just staring at me.
Breathing down your neck. All close.
Wow, Danielle, good job.
Just this FOMO you gave yourself.
Yeah, seriously. We're having a tufting workshop this afternoon too, and I didn't include myself, but I should have.
And that's with wool, right?
That's with
Caribou?
Oh, okay.
Caribou hair, yeah.
hair tufting. Yeah. You
Yeah.
can do it with wool.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And who's putting that on?
Blanche Chief is teaching us. She's from Nimis Designs. She's wonderful. I love her. She's my favorite jewelry maker. Yeah. I can't have like those big deadly anti earrings. Like I just can't wear them. She makes the daintiest, cutest jewelry. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's her plug? Just
At Nimis Designs on Instagram. Yeah.
She does really nice sweetgrass earrings. I'm
Oh,
so
she
in
does.
love with your
Yeah.
ones you have. They're really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get my ears pierced, and it's specifically to like wear.
The like shell earrings.
Right.
Yeah.
some abalone.
You want to be in your big anti earring era?
No, I'm like.
Uncle shells.
I feel like I would be the same way. Like I wouldn't be able to wear anything that like hits my shoulders.
Yeah.
It would have to be a certain length.
Yeah.
A little dangle.
Yeah.
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 Jaya made little cute porcupine quill.
Yeah, those
Oh,
are
dangly
nice.
always
ones.
nice.
Those were nice.
I still got some from my one. I lost one of the ones she made me. I felt so bad.
One of mine broke too, but I just wear one.
Yeah.
Very fragile. The quills.
Dainty. I love them.
I love that. That's like,
Like that's the difference of like the water sanding versus just the original like dry sanding.
Nice.
Wow.
Big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Color.
Green.
I love it.
I'm so
Wait,
happy.
what kind of soapstone was this again?
So this one, I'm actually not 100% sure, but I'm fairly certain it's Brazilian. It's just so like the Brazilian soapstone has different varieties of color depending on the region. So there's a brown, there's a multicolored one, which is this one. It's like it has like so many. Here, let's just.
Who wants to get wet?
So you see.
yeah.
Some red
And
or
like,
brown.
yeah, it's like
Wow.
marbly and like really neat. Sorry, I'm getting this cloth wet.
That's fine.
So it goes from like a green, a darker green, to this multicolor to brown. So like this stuff is also Brazilian soapstone, but it's just like a brown.
Yeah, I think that's the kind like bear is.
Yeah.
Brown bear.
And same with this. This is Brazilian soapstone, but you could see that there's like green and brown kind of mixed in. But I was contacted by a woman in Saskatchewan, and her late husband was a soapstone carver, and she was like, he passed away, and he has 1,400 pounds of soapstone.
Wow.
And she was like, "Are you interested?" I was like, "Yes, yeah, of course. Let me figure out a time to go." But so I went, and it was a lot of it was this particular soapstone, and I'm fairly certain it's the Brazilian soapstone, but I haven't worked with it, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love the green and the darkness of it and the marbling. So.
And how much does soapstone usually cost?
Yeah, so it ranges. The Brazilian soapstone has been like it was a lot cheaper when I first started, but with demand it's gone up. So it could be between $5 to $3 a pound,
Okay.
and there's harder types of stone that cost more. So like alabaster is like a really hard type of stone. It's in its own family, but it's still like technically I don't think it's like, it's not soapstone, it's actually alabaster,
Okay.
but it's quite hard. But yeah, so it really ranges, but anywhere between the $3 to $5 mark per pound.
Nice.
And then like I think pipestones might be the most expensive, with $10 a pound or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And where did you say you get your soapstone again?
So Artist Emporium here in Winnipeg has a really
Okay.
good selection. Like when I first started out, that's where I was going, and I still go there because every once in a while I'm like, I might find one that just
Things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Much like the knitter asked about you know, when you buy stuff, but
Yeah.
so they have a really good selection. But what I was doing, and I felt really bad, was that I was going and I was buying all their inventory, and because it was during COVID, it would take so long to restock.
Yeah.
And this one time I was like, I had a workshop, I had to do it, and I went in and they had no soapstone, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And so I actually ordered from BC, and I ordered about 2,000 pounds. And it came in, got shipped, delivered to my house, filled my garage, but it was like, now I had the resources to do the workshops without having to like rely on a third party.
Yeah.
But I still like, if you're interested, Artist Emporium, not only for soapstone, but for like just art. It's such a wonderful place.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of good variety there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get my India ink from that place.
Do you? Nice.
Good painting stuff there too.
Yeah, and I actually did do a workshop, a soapstone carving workshop there. Would have been about 5 years ago. But, and like nothing against the instructor, but I didn't feel like I really took anything
Yeah.
away from it. But I would love to. I would love to do a workshop at Artist Emporium.
Shameless plug.
Putting it out there.
Legos, Artist Emporium.
we have a list.
I love the like ASMR, like
Just the splashing at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
Splashing.
And Donis wants to see all of the phases and stages. Maybe after we oil it, we could show them like
Every single
Okay, yeah.
every step.
Just, like, trying to
That
get
would
the
be pretty
balance
awesome. I can't believe you just made that in like
right. 2 hours.
2 hours, 2-ish hours. Yeah,
Wow.
you did that.
Phenomenal. Look at me go.
Literally.
Amazing job by me.
Give no chige.
Yeah. Killing it.
I mean, I also must just be a really good teacher.
Oh yeah.
That too.
What would you say your most difficult part of sculpting it was?
I don't know. Maybe like if I had to do the cutting, it would have been the cutting, but thankfully I didn't have to do that. So
Nice.
Yeah, and like sometimes I'll give people that choice. Like, do you want to do the cutting? But my least favorite injury is from a hacksaw.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because the cut is just, it's not clean. It's completely jagged. And so I'm always like, if you're comfortable using the hacksaw, please, you can. But
You're definitely talking from experience there. Like
Yeah.
I just know.
yeah,
But
It's
yeah,
been an incident.
Yeah, I just know there's been incidents.
you can kind of see a couple spots on my fingers still where.
From sanding?
No, from hacksaws.
Oh,
oh really?
Yeah, because I was
sorry.
into woodworking when I was younger, so it
Yeah.
would be like my little hobby in
Oh, cool.
school. So yeah, I don't miss those.
I really miss like woodworking in school. You know, like the
making a gumball
the
machine.
accessibility to those tools and stuff that I don't have now, like
The bandsaws and
Yeah.
everything. Oh. I miss
Industrial
the
arts.
The smell was always my thing because it was always like pine.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
You're happy?
I think so, yeah.
are
Okay.
you proud of yourself? Yeah.
You did that.
You're such a parent. Are you proud of yourself?
Say it with me.
Yeah.
I'm proud.
I actually have done that, like I've changed that, like that phrase with my son to make sure that
Yeah.
like you're
You're proud.
you're
Yeah.
proud of
Yeah.
yourself. Like,
Yeah.
Yes, of course I'm proud of you, but how do you feel?
Yeah.
This gentle parenting that
Yeah.
Nice.
sometimes is very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's currently transitioning into kindergarten right now.
Aw.
It's been about 3 weeks, but it's been a tough goal for him.
Socializing.
Yeah, yeah, the socializing and the
Just the change of pace too. Class.
Yeah.
New teacher.
teacher, more kids.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Beautiful, Danielle.
yeah.
Onijishin.
So one thing that I do, like I have two methods. I have the tongue oil, but one thing is, and you've used it, I think the mineral oil. But I would
Just grab
yeah,
your forehead grease.
I would say
Some
that
nice
you
one.
could use do the traditional.
That's actually cool. I love that.
And actually, it's
You want some of mine?
your fingernails match the color of the stone.
Oh yeah, hey. I got
Wow.
these. I just got these
Damn.
done last week.
It's
So.
like a
Nice.
dark green. Meant to be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got it with a sander. I'm kind of upset.
So that's that. So the last part is the oiling stage, but that can be done. I've had somebody has done the like traditional method, and he said that it took him about 3 movies of sitting there and like just it's almost like a therapeutic thing where you're sitting there and you're just like rubbing the stone and you're just constantly putting the oil from your hands and your skin into it
Yeah.
while you just like sit and do something, talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like the bear is gonna want that connection, right? So like every once in a while you could pick it up and give it some loving. Some what?
Sweat.
Sweat.
We're thinking different things.
Same thing.
Amazing.
So that's it.
As I'm just gonna keep doing.
You,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wanna like naturally oil it?
I think so.
I love that.
Yeah.
You're so tradish. I love that for you.
Well, yeah, one of the ways that I do, like, I give people the option, but I bring mineral oil, and just, like, it kind of speeds it up. And also, it's like, after your hands have been touching, like, the dust and everything, you're very soft, and to have the mineral oil in your hands after is like, oh, that's, like, it's a complete opposite. And
Yeah.
you get to moisturize your hands again.
Well, we won't make you watch Danielle
yeah.
Grace up
Oh, you want some? Nice sweat.
Well, we could all help.
So let's show Donis the different steps, and then
Right.
we'll say goodbye, I guess.
Okay.
And if anyone wants to sneak in any last minute questions, now's the time.
Yeah.
Starts with that one, and then that one, then this one.
Yeah. I think this one might be somewhere in there. This is without sanding. So you could see here, it's just the stone and it has the sketch on it. And then you start cutting out with the hacksaw the areas that you don't really need. For this one, it's there. I didn't cut underneath the foot yet. And then as you move, you kind of like start bringing out these different
dimensions of the bear and the paw. You could see this one foot's stepping forward, this one's back, right? And as you move forward, you just kind of like start to bring out the different perspectives. So one thing that I didn't mention is that like when we're deciding what we're making, we start with a perspective that has the most body mass. So you're basically just working with a silhouette of something. So a side profile of a bear is often the best one. And then you're just looking at trying to get that silhouette out. And as you're moving down the line, you start rounding and doing things by changing your perspective. So instead of a side profile, you'll look at the top. And so this one is it's all sanded, but it's not oiled. But you can see that's
so cool. It's like
Yeah.
the evolution.
I would love to have like the actual, like it almost being the same pose and everything, so
Yeah.
that people could see. Because you can see I kind of like jump around, and the head is done, but none of the feet are done. And
Yeah.
this one's
I love it. And we had a comment. I just love it. Your way of starting and stopping really helps us learn and visualize the work. We were all made the way we are for a reason. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah. So, as Danielle continues to grease up her hair, I will say, Githam Goap Mittinawal. I will see you all again. Or I guess Githam Goap Mitnan. We will all see you again. And thank you so much, Fredrick, for joining us and for teaching us. That was a lot of fun. That didn't feel like 2 hours at all.
Flew by.
Yeah, it really did. That's the bell.
There's the bell.
Perfect.
I'll see you. Githam Goap Mitnan.
There's the-
Bye.